The Legend stage has come to an end, and for some, the nightmare is finally over. Your pick'ems have been absolutely ruined, as have mine. If you followed my advice or my picks, commiserations. It's been a rough one for all of us. I think most people are in the same boat. I feel like most people are wrecked after day 2 or day 3 of the Legend stage. If you managed to get 5 or more, do let me know in the comment section below who you managed to get through. The Diamond Dream is still very much on the table, then congratulations, but for the rest of us, rest in peace. The best we can do now is a gold coin. So we're going to try our best to get the gold coin done. Who could have guessed that G2, ENCE, Furia, and Na'Vi would have all been knocked out? I know some people didn't believe in Furia. Some people were a little bit shaky on Na'Vi. The fact that these 4 teams all failed to make it, and considering G2 went out 1-3, ENCE went out 1-3, Furia went out 0-3, is just bananas. This major has been absolutely insane, and let's just forget about the Legend stage, shall we? Move on to the Champion stage. So, one of these quarterfinals is not like the other, and that is the top one, Heroic and FaZe Clan. This absolutely could be a grand finals. It's just a case of the seeding and how wacky these results have been. This is sometimes how it comes down. So we're going to have Heroic and FaZe fighting off in the quarterfinals. Absolute madness. Now, if you're interested in a little bit more analytical breakdown, I've been doing some videos over the last few days, Legend stage, and we'll continue them in the Champion stage as well. So by all means, hit the subscribe button if you do enjoy the consistent content over the majors, because I'll be doing it every major, although the next one isn't until next year, so rip. But I've been doing those with Frog and Dualism, so make sure you check those out, because we went in depth. We did a 45-minute video recapping the entire Legend stage and going in depth on a few points. So by all means, check that. And also, in the comment section below, I'll have a link to my HLTV Fantasy League for the Champion stage. See if you guys can beat me. You probably will, because I had a shocker last one. I went for a bunch of players from like ENCE, etc. Just backfired horribly in my face. So, Heroic and FaZe. I personally think Heroic are going to get the job done here. Couple of reasons. One, I actually think Heroic fundamentally are probably the best CSGO team on the planet right now, especially with G2 choking hard and Na'Vi not being up to the mantle. I think Heroic are head and shoulders above, and it's not just a case of relying on individuals. Teamwork-wise, utility-wise, set plays, executes, they are just, for me, the best team on the planet, and I think they showed that as well in the Legend stage as they breezed through fairly comfortably against FaZe, Apex, and Liquid to take a 3-0. FaZe struggled. Now, you could throw in the argument of Liquid, who I'll get back into in a moment, that they've been through their trials and tribulations, they've been through their difficult patches, and now they're going to start to hit the ground running. But keep in mind that Heroic have already beaten FaZe on Inferno, so they've already got a little bit of an advantage mentally. Additionally, they haven't played as many games, so they can sit back and watch those games and try and analyze and potentially neutralize FaZe. Also, FaZe have been in this weird position where they've had individuals step up in particular games, but then those same individuals will disappear the next day. So, for example, against Bad News Eagles, which was their penultimate game, ropz was an absolute monster. Like, he basically kept them in the major. They could have easily been knocked out 0-2, but ropz on Mirage went nuclear and basically carried them, and then they ended up winning the third map pretty easily. And then yesterday against Na'Vi, ropz was their lowest rated player. It was Brokey that absolutely tore a new one through on Na'Vi's side. It's just been one of these weird like back and forths between separate players performing and other ones going absent, and I don't think Heroic let you off with that. They also remind me a little bit of Astralis, not in the sense because they're Danish obviously, but also the way that they utilize their set plays, their smokes. They do a very good job of neutralizing opposition AWPs and really punishing for any overextensions. So I'm not sure Brokey is going to get as much success when it comes to playing against Heroic, and therefore I just don't see them beating Heroic. It could be a close one, it could go 3 maps, but I think this is Heroic's game to lose. You never quite count FaZe out though. Monty and Gamer Legion, quite a step down in overall hype, I would say, for a lot of people, and probably sort of levels as well, although don't overlook these guys because they both went through 3-1. Monty's one loss was to the hands of Vitality, who went 3-0, very impressive, and Gamer Legion's loss was to Na'Vi, not quite as impressive considering that Na'Vi didn't make it. I think Monty should have this one in the bag. I don't want to overlook Game of Legion, but when you consider their results coming into the major weren't particularly that exciting, and then in the challenger stage, they were a little bit, they just managed to brute force their way through. I still think they have tons of ability on this team, but ultimately I think this is Monty's game. I think they're going to try and bulldoze this. They're going to try their best to really take a stranglehold over this game. And when you have the likes of Boros like playing really well at the major, I think that's going to be enough to see them through. Additionally, again, Monty completely neutralized Na'Vi 2-0. They beat Furia, who were a little bit I think they've had a harder road to the champion stage, and I think that's going to bode well for them in this game. Liquid and Apex, I'm going to go with Liquid. Apex have consistently overperformed as far as I'm concerned. They've really exceeded expectations, and it's been very, very impressive. They beat a fairly lackluster NiP, though, and they also beat Into the Breach and Bad News Eagles to make it through here. Their losses were to Game of Legion and also to Heroic. I just feel that Liquid, I said this at the start of the Legends stage, there was a possibility if you're going to go for Liquid and go for them as a gamble pick because they've got the jitters out their system. You know, they've gone through their turbulent couple of days and now they've kind of stabilized. And we really did see that. Their one loss was to Heroic and they also took a map off Heroic. So very impressive stuff from Liquid. I think they're hitting their stride at the right time. And I feel as if they're going to be more than enough to deal with Apex. Vitality and Into the Breach, this is going to be Vitality's, I think. ZywOo is hitting that kind of peak form just at the right time. On French soil, I think ZywOo, Apex, these are guys that are going to thrive off that home crowd. It doesn't always mean an advantage. You know, I think it's an overplayed point in a lot of aspects. Sometimes being in front of a home audience can actually psych players out. It can make them go into their shells. It can make them actually play worse, especially if you have a bad start. Because the pressure mounts, you feel like you're failing, you feel like you're letting people down. Whereas if you're the underdog, if you're like the villains of that situation, you can feed off that negative energy, you know, and try and choke it out and just make it a little bit scrappier. I personally think, though, that when you look at ZywOo and you look at Apex in particular, those two guys, these are two guys that are going to feed off that energy. And with Apex being the IGL, being the brains behind the operation, and really rallying the troops, he's a passionate guy at the best of times. Imagine him in front of a Parisian crowd. He is going to be going crazy. And I think that's going to really amp up the rest of the team and carry them forward. Additionally, Spinks has been very impressive to me. So it's not just the ZywOo show here. They've got plenty of components, and don't ever forget how much experience and veterancy they have on this team with Dupree there, with Magisk, with Apex. Like, these are the kind of plays they're going to have to rest on a little bit and rely on a little bit more in these deep waters, but I think Vitality should be able to deal with Into the Breach. Heroic and Monty, I think Heroic should have this one, and it should be fairly straightforward for them, assuming there aren't any, like, jitters or nerves or anything like that. Heroic have been here before, though, obviously going back to Rio. They got through to the finals, didn't work out for them, but I'm sure they're going to be looking to try and make amends for that one. I feel like it's quite a clear-cut win for Heroic if they do match off against Monty. Now, Liquid and Vitality could be the best game of the champion stage, as far as I'm concerned. Stylistically, I think it's a very interesting matchup. I'm going to go with Vitality to win this. I think they're going to have just a little bit too much for Liquid. I think in terms of strategical play as well, they're a little bit ahead of Liquid. But the thing with Vitality is you never really know what to expect from them. And so many times in the past, I've believed in French teams. I've believed in Vitality in particular, and they've let me down. They've just massively choked. They haven't performed. But I really do think this is Vitality's time. Like, they have to be looking at this major at this stage, looking at their side of the bracket and licking their lips and thinking, we're not going to get many better opportunities than this when you consider just how many juggernaut teams have already slipped away. G2, ENCE, Furia, Na'Vi, Cloud9 isn't here, Outsiders aren't here. You know, the list goes on. This is a real golden opportunity for ZywOo to get his hands on a major. Heroic and Vitality. This is a coin flip match. If it comes down to this, I think it's anybody's game, but I am going to go with Vitality I would love to see Cadian get his hands on a major. I really would. I'd love to see the rest of Heroic lift a trophy, but something is telling me that this is Vitality's major now. On home soil, ZywOo hitting that kind of form just when he needs to, the crowd fully behind them, feeding off the energy. I believe that this is going to be Vitality's moment to shine. But if Heroic proved me wrong, I'd be very happy with that outcome. Cadian's been around forever. The guy is worked his ass off. He's been back and forth. He's been teamless. He's been all over the place. I remember when he used to play in NA. So it'd be great to see Cadian get some success and the rest of them, and obviously make amends for that very disappointing Rio performance in the grand finals. But that's how I see this one coming down. Do you agree or do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section who you think is going to win this major. As it stands, I think it might go the way of Vitality. I'll see you in the next video, guys.